Kyle Klingman with Track Wrestling. We are talking with Ashley Sword. She is the head wrestling coach at Life University. How are you, Ashley?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Well, you're getting some mad props from Tom Brand saying he worked with you on this Hawkeye Wrestling Club Showdown Open. What kind of involvement have you had?
I think he's giving me a little more credit than I deserve, but Tom reached out, which was probably maybe the shock of my life to know that Tom Brands knows who I am, and said, we want to work on this open, and we want to add women and have the women involved, and this is what our plan is. How do you feel about it? And he had all the right things set up. I really just said good job kind of like, but he's been great about asking, what I think and is this fair. And across the board it is. The women are getting the same, the same coverage. Everything is equal all the way across the board, and it's been really exciting to work with him.
When you talk about the fairness question, the match lineup is 9 matches, 7 males, and 2 female matches. Was that fair to you? Did that seem like a good proposal?
It really did, because, women's wrestling, while it's growing, is still proportionally so much smaller than men's wrestling is. And so, the 2-to-7 ratio, it did feel fair, as far as, if you look at the amount of college programs, if you look at for men versus women, if you look at the amount of just athletes overall in high school, just proportionally men's wrestling is so much larger. But, two felt strong matches set up. So it did feel it. I think sometimes people get confused that fair and equal are the same. And fair and equal aren't always the same. Sometimes they are. But in this case, 4 women's matches and 4 men's matches wouldn't have made as much sense. But 2 women's matches and then the 7 matches, obviously highlighting the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. They don't have any women in their wrestling club right now, just because of the way things have worked out. And so, yeah, I think it is fair, and I think it's awesome.
You have an athlete that's going to compete, Jordan Nelson. Is that exciting for her?
It is exciting for her. Jordan has just been on the cusp of greatness for the past year. And so we're just working on, I've told her she's about a quarter of inch away of being exactly where we want her to be. She's been working really hard. She's been able to go to some open mat practices at Level Up down in Marietta. And then, of course, working with Victoria has been great. She got the huge privilege to be able to go to Beat the Streets and be Victoria's training partner for Beat the Streets. And so to be able to kind of see what that looks like has been very helpful for her. But she's excited. The whole team's excited. I don't think I've seen anything else on their feeds for the past 2 days other than, the Jordan Nelson graphic popping up. And everyone's just super bought into making sure Jordan's exactly where she needs to be in a month.
She's going against a tough competitor. Precious Bell is really, really good. How do you prepare for a match like that?
Precious is first and foremost amazing. And Precious is who we wanted to wrestle. Precious is number 2 right now, and that's where we want to be. We want to see where we're at. And it's always exciting. It's always a fight. We're fortunate that we have some tall, lanky people that we're able to kind of ask to bring in and work with, so that way we can kind of get a different feel. Precious is really hard to replicate from a body style standpoint. And fortunately we've got some looks there, but just, we're watching film of where we've been before, and we're focused on just embracing who we are as a wrestler, and imposing our will, pretty much is the plan. It's always the plan, right? To wrestle your match.
Women's wrestling is in a transition phase, and it was on display this year where they had the WCWAs, which you hosted, and then they had the NCAA schools, but the NAIs missed out. You probably have to be feeling good that you went to the WCWAs and hosted it, don't you?
Hindsight being 2020, no pun intended. Yes, have never been more grateful to have the opportunity to not just be a part of that tournament, but to host that tournament. When NAIs got canceled while we were in North Dakota, the ladies in the very least could say that they had given it their all a couple weeks before. So while they were sad to not have the opportunity with the NAIs, they didn't feel like, I don't want to say they didn't lose anything, because they did. They lost this huge experience, but but they had something before that. And in our case, we had a national champion, Julia Vidalian. She was able to qualify for Olympic trials. And so I think that took the sting away a little bit, and helped me personally feel like, okay, maybe all of the sleepless nights getting ready for that tournament were worth it to make sure that my ladies had that experience. And then, also had the experience of watching the wrestle off for the Pan Am qualifier, to have that, happening at the same time. I don't think I don't think we can really quantify how important that was for not only the college women, but for a lot of the young women in Georgia that were able to see it. So it was a really great opportunity, and I'm glad that we had it.
When I think of the Life Women's program, the first word that comes to mind is diverse, whether it's ethnic diversity, or I think you have someone that's in her 30s in the program. Is that something you've consciously built?
Um, yes and no. I think diversity is important, and I think it's something that is important to us. Because it's important to us, we don't have to think about doing it actively. Hopefully that makes sense. If wrestling's important to you, you're going to get up and you're going to go run, because that's just what you do. You don't think about it. That's the job. And for us, having a group of athletes around who are from all walks of life brings so much to the team. All those different experiences. It helps elevate everybody's journey and everybody's battle to another level. And we really pride ourselves on being the place where everyone belongs, no matter who they are. And we have a lot of athletes that come to us and say, hey, I didn't feel like I belong somewhere else. I feel like I belong here. We're a little bit of I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Christmas song, The Isle of Misfit Toys. Christian jokes that's who we are, because we do have a place for everyone. And so I think just the fact that we accept everyone for who they are is what brings that diversity in, and it's something that we're proud of. I I guess I feel a little bit bad that we haven't really thought of doing it on purpose. It just that's who we are, and that's the kind of athletes we recruit. So this is where we're at.
In addition to life, I think the one thing that I also think of is the great social media presence. How awesome has that been?
It's been great. It's been a little bit tiring. I run our Instagram and Twitter, new Twitter, and our Facebook page. But so early it was just, hey, no one knows who we are, and trying to get out there, and it's a way for us to showcase our athletes, but it's a way to be a little bit goofy and show the personality of our team. It's been a lot of fun to be able to reach out to different people. We even get calls from parents who are parents of athletes on other teams, who are just excited to watch what we're doing, and that really means a lot. It's I tell our parents when they send their athletes to us that it's not lost on us how heavy a burden that is, that they're sending their athletes, their daughters, to hopefully achieve their hopes and dreams. And as coaches, that's our jobs. And so another part of the job is to share that with their families, and the social media right now is it's how we do it. And it's been a lot of fun. One of our ladies this year that came in, Devin Gomez, wants to be in sports reporting after she's done with college. And so I'm hoping I can pass a lot of my duties off to her, and maybe my phone will buzz a little bit less. But it's been awesome.
What's it been like to have Victoria Francis, who's a world team member, part of your program?
It's been, there's just so many things that I never dreamed when I started coaching in college that would be things that happened, and Vic came to us and started just talking to us when she was in a rough spot, when she was going through her sanction. And so her openness with us and her openness with our athletes has been great, because they know, almost anything we can bounce back from, and there's nothing you have to hide, because here's someone who was in this terrible situation, right? Like, I don't think anybody can take away from the fact of how horrible that was for a year, for Victoria to have to go through that. But to have her openness and her genuineness of, this is where I was and this is how I came back, just that alone is invaluable, on top of her work ethic, on top of being able to see what the physicality looks like when you leave college and you move into the senior level, how that jump happens. And then a little bit selfishly, it kind of makes us look really good as coaches, right? Because if the number 4 woman in the world is listening to what you say, then definitely the freshmen should be listening to what we say. So in some ways, I think it helps give us a little more clout. Personally, I just love Victoria. Victoria's an amazing human being just in general, and to have that positive, just that her personality and her positivity and just someone that's such a great person in the room has just really helped us a lot.
With this Hawkeye Wrestling Club Showdown Open coming up on November 1, you mentioned just the engagement of Jordan Nelson competing in this, how excited your team is. Does this open your athletes' eyes to wanting this opportunity down the road for themselves?
I think more than opening their eyes to wanting it, it opens their eyes that it's possible. So often athletes, my athletes specifically, I can't speak for everyone, but I know sometimes our athletes have felt like a little bit overlooked, which is fine and is potentially a thing. And so now that they see Jordan on the main stage, they know, hey, this could happen for me. This is happening to our team. It's not just good things happen to other teams or to other people. It's, if we work hard, we have these opportunities. And it gives a light at the end of the tunnel that it's truly something they can put their hands on, that they can see Jordan, they can be a part of it. So I think it makes it more possible seeing one of theirs reach these goals.
You had your first WCWA national champion, individual champion, and Julia, who you mentioned. Did that get celebrated at Life?
I don't think we've stopped celebrating at Life. Not to say that we're riding on old things, because we are moving forward, but we're just, it got like our school president mentioned, our president of the university, he mentioned it in our campus wide meetings. He's been at our senior night, he came and watched us, so our executive board's really involved anyway. um Her poster's now up in the locker room, which is something that I think is exciting for her. The girls really, they look to her. I still get messages from recruits that are saying, hey, and parents that are like, hey, Cal, can I look like Julia? I'm like, I don't know. I want to look like Julia. I know her training regimen is just second to none. But uh, we heard about it all over campus. Whenever I ran into people, they were excited about what she had done, and again, I think it lessened that sting a little bit of losing the opportunity at the NAIAs, because we could say, hey, these amazing things happen, so let's be grateful for these opportunities.
Are you going to be coming out to Coralville for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club Showdown Open?
I would not miss it for anything. Also, Jordan would probably fight me if I tried to send her out there on her own. So yeah, it'll be myself and Christian and Victoria, and Dr. Doug. Well, we call him Dr. Doug. He's one of our volunteers, and we're gonna go out there, and we're just gonna put on a show and have a good time.